Welcome to the White Lotus channel. Thanks for being here. Deck review, Martinez MTG, Green White Foods. There's not really a whole lot of stuff going on in the format that isn't what's been going on for a while. So most of the kind of newer type things that are going on, Name Sticker Goblin, everyone's kind of done their thing on that. David Royale has got a good video on that for a different take, on Turbo Initiative component rather than just Name Sticker in a mono red deck. There is an Orzhov Blink deck that try to utilize the enchantment to discard cards, and there's a rat in there as well. But pretty much most everything is still just the way it is. In this particular deck, most of the creativity I see is like coming out of food. So maybe a month, 6 weeks ago, there was a food deck that was out, and then there was Bird of Paradise with his food deck, and then mono black food. Now there's a green white food. How competitive they are, I'm not sure. I enjoyed playing this deck mainly because it's fairly linear. It's got some optionality to it with all the foods, and that's always the tension of the food decks. Are you going to take the food and sacrifice it? Are you going to gain life off of it? You know, there's just different options, and if you choose incorrectly or don't sequence it properly for the coming turns in the game, it can be an issue. But this is what we have. The deck's pretty though. Look, that's a cool looking card. Second Breakfast, that's pretty neat. Let's take a look at the curve real quick. Heavy on the 2-drop. When I first saw the deck, this is what it reminds me of. It's a Boros synth deck. It's just a mid-range green-white deck. Anytime you see Core Skyfish or Glint Hawk and a bunch of artifacts in play, tempo-wise, it feels and will play out very much like Boros Synthesizer. Where the difference is, it doesn't have the reach as far as burn goes, but it tries to clear a path in order to stick Earthling Farmer, for sure. East Farthing Farmer, right? So it's going to pump the creature up based on the number of foods that you have in play. So in the later turns, it's possible that a Glint Hawk or a Core Skyfisher is swinging for 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. So that's kind of the reach component, but it's not reach in the traditional sense of the term. It's just trying to how it gets the additional damage through that it might need to close the game out. There's also Second Breakfast, which is pretty cool. If you have two Skyfishers in play and you cast a Second Breakfast, you're basically swinging with flying enforcers. There are 4/4s. Some of the interesting kind of synergy that's in the deck. It's when you look at the land base. Let me switch over to that real quick. You've got mostly green sources, but mainly white spells. So you only have 8 white sources in the deck. You do have many partings to find the additional white source. You have Golden Egg that can make a white source. I'm not sure that this is correct. The problem is, again, with internal tension within the deck, you have Gingerbread Cabin, so you're going to want X amount of forests in play for the Gingerbread Cabin to be useful. So you're cutting back on the white sources and then using many partings or Golden Egg to find that additional planes that you may need. So going back to some of the interesting synergies, Mushroom Watchdogs is fun to play with. The thing is, just make sure eating a food, you can eat as many foods as you want, but you have to do it as a sorcery. It'd be really cool if you could do it at instant speed, because that just opens up a lot of combat tricks and different things like that. But it's interesting. I like it very much. Revive the Shire. If you lose a permanent, maybe you sacrifice something. Maybe it gets removed. It puts another food in play, gets the permanent back, not a card, but it has to be a permanent. Hobbit Sting, it's done okay. It's probably the best deck so far. That I'm not a big fan of Hobbit Sting, but it works fairly well in this particular deck. But other than that, it just plays out kind of like a Boros tempo style deck, linear in its progression, curving out. But it's fun, and if that's the style of deck that you like, then I'd give it a shot. Sideboard is what it is. I'm not going to go into it. You kind of know what these cards do. We'll play one game with it, or I'll show one game where I think it captures some of the elements that are in there, and we'll call it a day. This is game 2 of a match with Grixis Affinity. It's a little bit different build. He's concentrating heavily on life gain, Mirror Enforcers, looking to be the only win condition outside of Galvanic Blast. I don't think I saw makeshift munitions in there, so different take on Grixis Affinity from the opponent. But we're going to go ahead and keep this. And we talked earlier about white being minimal in the deck as far as its land base, with only 8 sources, or 8 lands, I should say, not sources per se. And as you can see here, we've got the green sources and not the white. So given the fact that we sided in Dust to Dusk, Dust to Dust, kind of want the white. Don't have it yet, but can't talk today. That was a really interesting play from the opponent. You Galblast Gingerbrute. Not really sure why. We've already played game 1. Gingerbrute's not doing that much. You've got Lembas, Candy Trail, Radiant Fountain, a whole bunch of ways to gain life. Not sure I make the play of Galblasting a Gingerbrute. However, the opponent's play style in the match was kill everything on sight, regardless of what it is. As soon as it comes out, boom, it's dead. So, okay, that's the way like right here, I'd love to have double white, just try to wreck this mana base. But we don't get there. As you can see, just Gal blasted again. Really not sure on that play. It's not that big of a component of the deck, but he's going to play it the way he did, and that's certainly fine with that. I don't think it's optimal. It's not criticizing the opponent. It is not how I would play Grixis Affinity. Really, it's not how I would play Galvanic Blast. Go ahead and get these, or hope the Enforcers are out of here. They are. He only had 1 card in hand, so just take a shot at it. Hopefully it's not Metallic Rebuked. I'm really trying to just get some birds in play and try to utilize the farmer to get some added damage in. That's the issue there on the opponent is not reading the card, right? It does 1 damage to up to 2. So you have to do 2. You can't do 2 damage to 1 creature. You have to do 1 each to up to 2. So we were fortunate on that. And we talked about the farmer coming into play and the food tokens, pumping it up. So Glinthawk's flying as a 6/6, which is pretty good. Goal, obviously, opponent has 2 cards in hand. Try to get another one to stick on the next turn. See how that happens. We talked about the optionality of the food tokens. Right now, there's really no reason for me to be gaining 3 life, so I'm trying to use them for either pump spells, Mushroom Watchdog, anything like that. I'm not playing the farmer right now because he's got 2 Ornithopters. He'll block it and it really won't get the damage in. So trying to hold out for as long as we can, clear a path, and then get the farmer to stick if we're fortunate. Opponent down to 1 card in hand. Revive the Shire, getting a permanent back. Now we've cleared a path at the moment with the Ornithopters being gone. So the opponent will have at a minimum 3 cards, but Affinity can recover pretty quickly when it gets low. So here's just, we're trying to put as many foods in play for the farmer. We get rebuked. We're going to pay for it. No, we did not pay for it, sorry. Unfortunately, he had 2 rebukes. So I don't mind playing it there. If you have double rebuke, then you have it. I could wait another turn, but I was fine just trying to get it in. I went ahead and got Mushroom, ate the food, made Mushroom a 4/4. Didn't want to eat 1 more, make it a 5/5. Kind of felt that he might be sacrificing the enforcer there. And we were, maybe the right play is just make it a 5-5, but we went with 4-4 and it was okay. Trying to close this game out. And then the opponent conceded. So fun. I think it's fun deck to play if you like linear styles. It's a fun deck. Again, linear, kind of mid-rangey in tempo, and some optionality that you can play around with food. So right now, that's kind of is what it is. Format is what it is. There's kind of, you can play just about anything you want, and with the right matchup, be successful. It's a difficult meta to brew in. It's a solved format, in my opinion. I know say that a lot. You basically know the power level and what's kind of policing the format. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe. Be well.